Fixed fields are a special part of MARC records where information about a material is noted in an abbreviated or coded fashion. When a patron looks at a record in the OPAC, they won't see the fixed fields, but the fields are very, very important. They control so much of the meta information for how Evergreen thinks about a MARC record. Fixed field data provides the basis for search filters. If you want to sort your search results from most recently published to oldest published, the years that sorting is based on will come directly from fixed field coding. If you want to restrict your search to only retrieve things for a juvenile audience, the audience that Evergreen thinks an item is for is determined from fixed field coding. And the format of a record, whether Evergreen sees a movie as a DVD, as a Blu-ray, as a VHS tape, as a 35mm film strip, once again, that is pulled directly from fixed field coding. Some fixed fields are system generated. That is, they're created or updated automatically when a MARC record is created or updated. But there are three kinds of fixed fields that you, as a cataloger, need to know about and will have to know how to edit. The first two are the leader and the 008 field. These have coded information about item format, about intended audience, language, date and place of publication, details about genre, about the kind of illustrations, and other things. All MARC records will have a leader and a 008 field. You can input data for both of these using a grid at the top of each MARC record when Flat Text Editor is not selected. The third kind of fixed field that you need to know about is the 007 field. Not all records will have this. It is used mainly with non-book formats, and it gives specialized, detailed information about physical form and physical characteristics. In a moment, we will take a closer look at the leader, 008, and 007. But one final thing to note here. Some of the information in fixed fields may replicate other parts of a MARC record. For example, publication date is noted in field 264, subfield C, and publication date is also noted in a fixed field area. However, the data will not automatically be transferred from one place to the other. You need to manually enter it or manually change it in both places. And yes, I know that's kind of a pain, but it's one of those things you just need to grit your teeth and do. The leader and the 008 fixed field may be edited using a special grid at the top of each MARC record. The appearance of the grid will vary slightly depending on if you're cataloging a text-based format, an audio format, or a video format. But there are specific guides in our knowledge book that show the layouts for each of these varieties. All sections of the grid matter to a degree, but some are much more important than others. At the bare minimum, you need to make sure that you take the time to get things right for the type, audience, language, bibliographic level, form, and date or dates. Fixed fields use abbreviations or random characters to encode data, and remembering all of that can admittedly be a bit of a pain. So one method of helping is to use a built-in feature which, for lack of a better name, we will call right-click helpers. Let's go back to the record that we were looking at before. Suppose you were at Lit F, Literary Form. If you right-click somewhere in the area where the number 1 is, a drop-down box will appear showing you all of the possible valid characters to enter and what they all mean. You just left-click on the appropriate value, and it is entered. Not all of the spaces in the grid have right-click helpers built in, but the majority of them do. One final thing to point out. As a reminder, all of the information in the grid up here is replicated in one of the lines of code down here. You can see it in the lowercase ENG for language, and the 2011 for publication date, and the NYU for publisher location. Or digging a little deeper, you can see it with the lowercase a for type, and the lowercase I for description. Just make sure, whatever you do, that you do not delete the leader or the 008 line of code at the bottom. If you do that, all the data will be lost. The tricky thing is that the grid at the top of the screen won't disappear, so you might not realize that anything is wrong at first. But the next time that you come back to the record, things will be majorly screwed up.